Hello, I'm Phoebe, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to go through my favourite Colourwork jumpers at the moment. Ever since I've come back, I've got so many ideas for jumpers. My mind's sort of going a little crazy. I've recently finished an Aran sweater that I've had on the needles for a really long time, and now I'm just really excited to try something a little more tricky. Colourwork, I've only done one, and I do find it a little more, more fiddly. So I've got 10 various difficulty patterns. Some have 3 colours, some 4, but I think most of them are about 2 colours. And some of them, my ideas for them are very standard. It's very much what the pattern has called for, or the colours that the original pattern was knitted in. And then other ones, I've had ideas for them, and I've sort of, on Procreate, I've made up new colour designs and sort of tried to put it together. So although I'm going to give you the patterns as they are, I might show you sort of the inspiration behind some of the jumpers, where I would take them rather than being so to pattern. So let's get started. So the first jumper is by Junko Automoto, and it is the Twigs jumper. This one I caught my eye immediately, probably because of the colours and because of how sort of delicate it seems to me. I really like when, there's a lot of colour work on this jumper and it's all knit in the round and it's a circular yoke, but the motifs are very delicate and really, I think, very sweet. It comes in one size, it's knitted top down, it's knitted in the round. So those are all things that I really like. Some of the patterns, some of the later patterns, some of them are not top down, they're bottom up. So I feel like I'm going to put in sort of the details that I would be looking for. And I'm also going to give you the specifications of the jumpers, which is not something I normally do. And because things like gauge, I don't normally... I never knit to gauge, I never do a gauge square. But I think with the colourwork I might actually have to bother and do those things. So I have included the information. And I've also included what type of yarn they've suggested, if they have suggested them. So yeah, this one is sport weight. So a lot of these are in 4-ply, sort of thinner weights. But having said that, I have included also other sizes, because I also know that it's nice when you're making really fast progress, and that generally happens with bulky weights. So there's lots of different weights for the jumpers that I'm going to show. But for the Twigs, it would be the long haul. I think it would be a jumper that was on the needles for a long time. But I think entirely worth it. Its bust, I think I said it's one size. Its bust is 130 centimetres. So it is large, very adaptable. It's got these sleeves, the rib starts quite high, and then it's got this almost ballooned sleeve. Now I have seen people adapt it so that it's just like a regular sleeve and it's not got that much rib on it, which I quite liked. I saw someone also did sort of a higher neck, which was equally very nice. And the thing about this is I think I've got a lot of 4-ply yarn that I would hold with a lace weight. So this one is very likely that I will knit it. It's just whether... I've got so many jumpers I want to knit, I'm sort of daunted by taking on such a big project. Straight off the bat as well, that would be quite a thing. So she suggested moke yarns, the Elena single, which is 330 meters per 100 grams, which is very good. I haven't actually knitted with that many yarn brands before. I do tend to go for Drops, the company Drops, just because it's very cheap. And the quality is very good. Having said that, I have done the Iztek Alafa Sloppy, which is what this is knitted in. And I really love this wool. It's incredibly sheepy, very warm, and yeah, I haven't actually included this pattern, the Fuyuki jumper, in this, just because I think if I'm going to do a colourwork pattern, I want to try something new. And I really love this jumper, and I really do want it in other colours. But I've also got a lot of ideas for other jumpers and other colours, so I'm sort of willing to put this one on the back burner. I really like this in the dark brown. I just think it's really, it would really fit into my wardrobe. I haven't got a dark brown jumper. In fact, I threw one out recently because it was from a fast fashion brand, but I have had it since I've been like an early teenager. It's when the turtleneck was all the rage and they had like come in very big, and so I bought one. But it was a lot of acrylic and like a little bit of wool, so I eventually am going to replace it and make a brown turtleneck, or like a roll neck, you know, oversized and all that sort of thing. Maybe the Great Lakes polo or turtleneck. But otherwise, the Twigs jumper in dark brown I think would be so nice. But also a light coloured version. I think she is maybe Japanese or maybe she's Korean. She's got a light coloured one. She's got like a creamy grey one with like nice motifs. And I think I don't know if you looked on Ravelry, which I have extensively been looking at. She's sort of like spinning and she's by a piano. So if you find her, if you're interested, she did a really nice one, and that I also have the yarn for. So future project as well in a lighter colour. I don't know. So I think that's what I can say for that jumper. It's so lovely. I think it would be a really great jumper to knit. And that's 3 colours. It's the main colour, and then it's like a mid-toned colour, and then a light colour. I have all those sorts of things. I have the brown, I have the sort of grey brown, and then I have a light colour. But I've also got Drops Flora or Drops Alpaca, and it's in this sort of rusty brown. And I think maybe I would include that, so it would be 4 colours, but maybe just on 1 or 2 of the motifs, or just at the top or somewhere. So I would do 4 colours, but that's a very minor detail. So the second jumper is the Coloured Crosses jumper by Anna Wetzel. It's a DK and lace weight pattern. The picture that she did for this instantly grabbed me. Somehow it seems so like romantic to me. It was like, there's this, in art, there's this sort of theme or, like a theme. It's called Rolkenfigure, and it's like the back of the head looking out. And it's David Caspar Friedrich did a very famous painting, and it's this man on the top of a mountain looking out, and it's all misty. And it's this idea that you're looking at the sublime and you become... you're like looking through that person's eyes. It's all very mysterious. And that picture immediately caught me. This is exactly what it reminded me of. And the sort of lines, it's mostly knit with the same colour sort of crosses. Well, it's got 2 dark crosses, but they're both in slightly, one's just slightly darker, like one's black and one's like very dark blue. And then she's got these other 2 lines that occasionally happen. And it was like yellow and red, or it was something, I can't remember exactly, but I'll put the picture up. It went with the sea, like the lines of the sea. Extraordinary picture. And also with her grey hair, it was just absolutely, it just really captured me, really caught my imagination. I would like to do that pattern in those colours. Maybe not the yellow. I actually had this idea of doing a blue and I think it was like pink or something. I've got the pictures up. Or someone on Ravelry did it with this lovely like blushy pink and this rusty sort of maroon red. And then they had it with this mohair, and it was so fuzzy and so beautiful. And I think they did yellow and blue, but I just don't know, I just don't like yellow very much. I like yellow in its correct, in what I deem like its correct place, for me personally. So I really like the idea of doing it in those sort of pinks and reds. It would be this is the thing about these Colourwork projects, is I'd have to try and fit it into my wardrobe. Some of these are very easy additions and I can really imagine how I would wear them. Other ones I'm reserved about just because I'm not sure what I would wear them with. But I actually think the pink and the red could fit in, and with the right sort of trousers and the right sort of skirts that I want to add into my wardrobe, I think I could make it work. And I also want to add more colour into my wardrobe anyway. I wear a lot of dark colours, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, it's just my taste. But I also appreciate that colours are very exciting and they add something different to your outfits. And because I haven't worn colour very much, I'm actually just sort of interested to try wearing it a bit more. You know, there's some colourful things that I've made this year, like that, what was it called? It was that rusty red linen top. I was actually wearing it earlier, but I took it off. So I think this coloured cross jumper could be a very nice dipping my toe into this pattern. And I like that it's DK weight, knits up a tiny bit quicker. It's a very regular pattern, so I think it would start to become mindless. You know, with the twigs, it's a different pattern each time, a different motif each time. So with the coloured crosses, I think I could sort of get into the rhythm of it. Only thing is, it's a bottom up, but then it's in the round. So it changes it ever so slightly, just it being bottom up, just because, you know, you can't really try it on. You sort of have to gauge how long you want it. But it's not really like the worst thing in the world. Just, you know, if that's relevant to you and you like that or don't like that, then that might be something you want to consider. It's seamless, which, having just completed a jumper that had seams on it, is a nice thing. I have so little patience for seaming correctly, so anything that doesn't require me to seam is always a positive. And the yarn that she used is Filcolana, and it's Tilia and Filcolana Panilla, DK and a lace weight. And that's 4 colours. So it's the main colour and then 3 accessory colours to it. The third jumper is the Fuyuki, I hope I've said that right, by Norico Ichikawa. Really nice jumper. This one, again, I really like it in its original brown colours. I think they're really nice. Sorry, hang on. Yeah, I really like it in its original brown colours. It's a much bolder motif, but I have very vivid ideas about what I could do with the colours. I do like it in the brown, but equally I think it could be really nice in a like burgundy wine colour. And then also, this is an interesting development, but also like maybe on some bits that are quite small, like the dots, is to have a sort of like mohairy orange with I don't know, another colour. I have drawn up some colour ideas from that one, but equally I do really like it as just the brown. It really sort of tickles my pickle. So that's in 3 colours. You knit it in the round, it's seamless, top down, very good. And you either hold DK double or it's chunky / bulky wool. And she used the Iztec Plutolopi, obviously held double, and that's 300 metres per 100 grams. I would probably knit it in that because I really like the Alafas Lopi, and I imagine this would be very nice if it was rustic. It also has reminded me of quite a lot of toast patterns, and if you've watched me for long enough, then you know I sort of often relate things back to toast because I really like the sort of silhouettes that they do, and they do very often oversized jumpers and very nice colourworked jumpers. So actually a lot of the inspirations I get is from toast jumpers, just sort of nice colours to go together. So this one I was slightly inspired by a toast jumper, and I think this would be really nice. The only other thing about it, I might make a slight adaptation to it, in that I don't know if I like the line in the circle. To me it's like Sauron's eye, and it's sort of quite horrid isn't the word. I mean like horrid as in like it's sort of it feels like you're being watched. I've got the picture just there, so I'm looking at that. But yeah, I don't know. It's really nice, and the thing that is calling to me is that it's a bulky, chunky weight, which I know I could knit very fast. It would be quite a nice sort of satisfying one to have done for the Christmas period. None of these jumpers are going to be particularly Christmassy, just because I'm not really a Christmas jumper person. It's not that I don't feel festive, it's just a Christmas jumper to me, like if you're only going to wear it at Christmas, I sort of think like it's taking up a lot of space in your wardrobe. Whereas like you could just knit another one that was sort of just like a winter jumper that's not specifically Christmas motifed. And then you can just wear it whenever. But all to you if you do like a Christmas jumper and you do wear a Christmas jumper. You know, some of us are funner than others. Or fun in different ways. I'm fun in a different way. Okay, tea break. Lots of talking today. So the next jumper is the Old Compass Sweater, or jumper, by Trin Annell, or Annalie. Is that an I or an E? Annalie. It's top down, round, seamless. And this one is in 5 colours and is more intricate. I've seen a lot of I think it's also quite a new pattern. I saw some test knits for it, which really caught my eye, and I really like the idea of being able to adapt it and do your sort of own individual colours. The original picture that she's got in the grey is really nice, but I think I would just want it in a different colour. I don't know why. There's a lot of test knitters that have done a nice job. There's this, I don't know what she's called, but she's blonde. And she's got a blue jumper with these sort of light blue and then these sort of like rusty brown triangles, diamonds rather. Really nice. It's 4-ply and fingering, or fingering. It's another one of these ones that's would probably take me a little bit more time. However, it's also then a regular pattern, as in like it repeats its patterns. So if you got into the hang of it, then I'm sure you'd get into the hang of it and it might be a faster colour. I really like the test swatch that this lady did, and she tried out 4 different diamonds and 4 different like colours. And each one of them was really, really nice, and I sort of been playing around with them and changing some of the colours, and then also just looking into my stash to see what I've got available. I want to make some things that are a tiny bit more exciting. And although I am apprehensive about wearing like a very printed jumper, part of me thinks, you know, it's like one of those things that you just get used to. You know, I don't normally have things with pattern on, not even stripes. It's pretty peculiar, really. I don't know how that's happened. Because I'm sure when I was younger I used to wear a lot of pattern and a lot of stripes. But I think I need to get out of this. I think I need to explore and spread my roots. Don't know if that's the right phrase. But yeah, try some new things out. So this could be the jumper. I have loads of 4-ply. So this one is a very possible contender. Essentially, you know, all of these are probably going to eventually be on my needles. But whether or not it's in the near future is something to be decided. She's suggested Holst yarn and the super soft variety of yarn, and it's 287 meters for 50 grams. Most of the time these things are, whether I choose these yarns or not is, like how cool the colour is, what's the composition, and probably most importantly, how much it costs. So sometimes I work out per 100 meters, because I never do it by grams. Per 100 meters, how much does it cost? Because some of these yarns, it's got a lot of meterage per 100 gram or 50 grams. So although it might outwardly look more expensive, it might actually have more meterage than if I bought a drops yarn. And especially if they're independent yarn growers, companies, then I think it's good to support people. Oh yeah, and then this one has also got 10 to 20 centimeters of positive ease. So I like an oversized jumper. So all of these I think have quite a lot of positive ease. I'm not a tight jumper sort of gout. So prepare yourself. If you don't like oversized, then you're probably not going to like many of these patterns. But hey ho. The next jumper is Dazzler by Lisa Lewis. Now this is actually the only pattern in my selection that you would have to buy the book. She doesn't sell this on Ravelry, and she doesn't sell it as like a PDF that you can buy in other places. So you would have to buy the book that it comes in. That's one of the things that sort of, it doesn't put me off because I really like this jumper. And I think this is like one of her first patterns that she ever produced, which is sort of pretty crazy to me. But that's the only thing that slightly puts me off, because obviously I would have to go out and buy the book, which I'm sure there's some other patterns I think that are in that book that I might want to do. But for now, you know, if it's one more step towards having to do something. But having said that, this pattern might actually be worth it, because I really, you know, I was just saying how I want to wear more print and, you know, be a bit more fun. And although this is in black and white essentially, it's got such a lovely design on it. I really like this pattern, and I think I like it so much because even though it's quite high contrast, which is what I don't normally wear, I don't wear like black and white because I like the sort of medium toned, medium contrast is what I mean. This has a dominant of the black or dark brown or whatever colour you'd use. So it's sort of, it's very bold, but also very, to me, is very like cohesive. And it just looked very different from any other Colourwork jumper I could find. It really stuck out to me. And I think I would very easily be able to wear it. It's a top down and it's in the round. So it's two things that I really like. 10 centimetres positive ease, 2 colours, so easy. And it's bulky, chunky weight, would knit up very fast. She's done her yarn from Camera Rose, and it's Snefnug, 110 metres per 50 grams. So that's about what a lot of chunky knits are, or chunky yarns are. It's jolly nice, and I can imagine myself wearing it. So next is by a company that I really love. I've yet to knit anything by them, but I have many of their patterns pinned to my Ravelry. I don't know what it is about the lady that designs, or the ladies, the people that design these, but they're just like, I'm completely in tune with their tastes, which is a lovely thing to find someone who you can just like immediately like everything that they've done, pretty much. This Colourwork jumper is called the Afterparty sweater, or jumper. It seems to me to be quite traditional. I really like the sort of design that they've got. I can imagine it in other colours, and I really like it in its original colour, that sort of greeny, yellowy colour. I would quite like to try out some different colours with this one. I don't know if this is right, but this is almost like a Christmassy jumper to me. It's sort of hard to describe. What's a Christmassy jumper? Like, is it if it's got like a reindeer on it or bows on it? Or is it just sort of like the general idea that you have about Christmas and what a Christmas jumper is? I don't know. But this one is ever so slightly Christmassy to me. But enough not to be really Christmassy. It's just sort of pinged in my brain when I look at it. I might change the colour and try out some of the combinations that I saw on a toast jumper that I think would be quite nice. It's in 5-ply or sport weight. So I don't think I've ever bought a 5-ply wool before. I've only ever bought 4-ply and then added like a lace weight to it. So I'd probably do the same then. It's in the round and it's a bottom-up jumper, but then it's also got shaping in the waist, which is quite interesting. You know, a lot of jumpers, when they're knit in the round and they're very oversized, you do get this very like boxy shape. And depending on the positive ease, sometimes it can not be the most flattering. So I'd be quite interested to see what the waist shaping, how sort of subtle it would be, or how it would actually, I don't imagine it would actually like clinch in at the waist, but it might give you more of a silhouette, which would be quite interesting. And maybe applicable to trying with other jumpers if you were brave enough. So this one's in 2 colours. They suggest 5 to 10 centimetres of positive ease. And also the yarn that they use is their own brand. So it's Biches and Bouges. My French is awful. It's funny that I've been learning for I learned for 9 years in school, and I've come out not being able to speak French. It's pretty horrific. The English system, not too great. But it's Le Lame wool, and I haven't got the information about its meterage. I would be interested to try out some of their wool, because I like their patterns, so it'd be nice to try their patterns in their own wool, but we'll see. This next pattern, I literally found today. It's been pinned on my Pinterest, like a knitted jumper Pinterest board that I have. And I've looked at it a lot, and I just I didn't even really think about it. But then when I clicked on it, it gave me a link to Ravelry, and I was like, oh, I could actually knit that jumper, which I've been looking at for ages. It's the Jadwiga, and it's a Polish pattern by a Polish lady. Oh, I'm gonna butcher her name. Albiona McLaughlin. I hope I said that right. It's 2 colours, and it was just so, I just loved it. There's something about the original colours that it's in, this sort of wine colour with that cool coloured brown, light brown. And also just the motifs are so lovely. I think they're traditional sort of Polish designs. So really, really liked it. Really, I would just knit that whole jumper now if I could. I don't have that rusty red colour, or rusty sort of wine colour, because I obviously have not bought that before. But I think that will probably be on the needles after New Year, because that would just be such a nice addition to my wardrobe. And also I like that it's Polish inspired. You know, Robin's mum is Polish, and his babcia and Jaja, so he's half Polish. So I like the idea that I would have a Polish sort of jumper. I think it would be very nice. And I could show his babcia, and maybe she would recognise some of the patterns. But she might not, so I'm not sure. But it's knit. I think it gives you various different options when it comes to yarn. So they said DK to Aran weight. So I think it's just depending on your gauge and what sort of yarn you have and what size you want. They've sort of left it up to you, and it's just if you do the gauge and you meet it in the yarn that you've chosen, then have at it. It's 2 colours, but there's also the possibility of, because it's in these bands, you could change one of the colours or add another colour or do as many colours as you like. I did see someone do a very dark one, which was very nice, and they did it with more than just 2 colours, so that's also an option that was jolly nice. I don't know what other people do when they find a jumper pattern. I obviously look at the pattern, and then if I sort of like it, I will just go onto the projects of other people and just look through them, and normally other people have always done a lovely combination that just instantly inspires me. I think I'm just a visual person. I can't theorise about colours. I have to see them. And I very much have to have other people's examples to go by. So often I am just copying other people, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Oh, that was messy. They did suggest one yarn on Ravelry, and that was the Iztek Letlopi, which is an Aran weight yarn, 100 meters per 50 grams. I could probably do it in that yarn. I'd probably be very happy to do it in that yarn. But I think some other people have done it in Drops Air, as well as many other yarn combinations. Now number 8 is a very popular pattern. It's been seen everywhere. I've seen it everywhere and coveted it, but have yet to give it a go. And it's the Porcelain sweater by Lenny Holm Samso. It's a 4-ply and lace. It's got these 3 bands of colourwork. I've heard it's very fun to knit, and many people have done it as their first colourwork jumper. It's knit top down and in the round, so also no seaming, which is a very good thing. And it's 15 to 20 centimetres of positive eave, so depending on how you want to wear it, it is a very comfortable and nice, like tucked into jeans. And many people do it in the original colours, which is the creamy, ivory colour, and then the light blue. And it is like a Delft tile. It's very lovely. I really like it in the blue and the white, but I can just never imagine myself wearing it. And I don't know why. In some way, it's sort of such a... I think of it as being very, like, stripy. And part of me thinks, like, I don't want a light coloured jumper that's stripy. I'm a bit mad, but... So, I have got lots of colour options for this one. Again, lots of the colours are inspired by toast jumpers. But I have like an idea for a brown one with different coloured motifs, or using different colours in each band, and to make each one slightly different. So the contrast is different. It's not all like dark colour, light colour, dark colour, light colour. I think I found one that I really like that I would be very happy to do. It's in 4-ply and lace. So I've got the 4-ply and all I would need is the lace. I think it does look very good when it's slightly fluffy. I think I was considering whether I'd even need the lace, but I think with a lot of coloured work patterns, I think it's nice when there's a slight soft edge to it. I think if you don't have any lace, you don't have that mohair sort of creating the haze, it can be quite stark, and I'm not a stark person. She suggested sunless garn, which I would be very interested in trying. You see people on the internet, the old knitting YouTubers, use this yarn a lot. She suggests the Peer Gynt, which is the 4-ply, and the Tin Silk Mohair, which is the lace. I would like to try it. Yeah. It's a very sweet pattern. Like, it's very girly. Oh, I've spilt something. Hang on. There we go. It's a very girly pattern, but and very sweet. But I like that quite a lot. And I also think she's chosen very nice motifs. They're very delicate and they go very well together. And I imagine if you didn't like one of them, you could probably very easily swap it out with a different motif if you wanted to. So that is an idea. Number 9 is Aeygo Knits Sand Sweater. This came out and immediately I wanted to knit it. It was very beautiful. I think the shaping on this one is very particular. A lot of the other ones, it's sort of got more of a shape, but this one's that much more oversized, sort of relaxed shape, and consequently looks very modern, which I very much like. I really like it in the this sort of dark brown colour that one person has knitted it in. And I like, again, this also it reminded me of a toast jumper. I'll put up some of my inspirations because they are so nice. I really like them. It's a top down, no seaming, and with 20 centimetres of positive ease. I think a lot of her patterns are very oversized, and this one is no different. It's really nice. 2 to 3 colours are generally done by most people, but you could obviously do more if you wanted to. And it's in a bulky and a lace weight wool, which is very nice, quick to knit up. She's done it in Gepard Garn Puno and Kidsetta, so that's the bulky and the lace. Again, another yarn I've never used, but I've heard many good things about. I think the thing about this pattern is it looks very modern. It's not sort of curmudgeonly in any way. It would be an instant classic into your wardrobe, and you could just do it in endless colours, and and you could do it with a crew neck, or you could do the turtleneck. I think it's very nice with the turtleneck. I think it sort of suits that overall silhouette. So incredibly tempting. And it's nice when something instantly catches your eye, or someone releases a pattern and you want to knit it straight away. I think that's sort of the sign of they've hit the nail with the, what's the word I'm looking for? Hit the nail on the head. She knit the nail on the head with that one. It obviously caught so many people's imaginations. She did good. Number 10. This is sort of, might feel slightly left field, I don't know, is the Tiree by Marie Wallin. Now, I've never done a Marie Wallin pattern. I'm quite intimidated by them, but damn, they are beautiful. I think she does some very colourful jumpers, but this one is much more muted. I like both of them. There's some part of me that just thinks, like, even though I don't wear a lot of colour, those colourful, beautiful Fair Isle jumpers that she makes, they just capture me in some way that I can completely imagine myself wearing them. Equally, the Tiree, I can completely imagine myself wearing. In the same ilk as the Coloured Crosses jumper by Anna Wenzel. The picture is the lovely model against the sea, and I just think it's so it's such like a frosty jumper. It's really, you can just like feel the cold with that jumper. Not you can feel it as in like it would make you cold, but you can just completely imagine being by the sea wearing that jumper, or being in the snow and wearing that jumper. There's something very nautical almost about it. And there's something very, I sort of realised when I was looking through all these patterns and trying to find ones to talk about that I want to knit, was I really like when the sort of gradient changes ever so slightly, and it's very subtle, but with this jumper the colours obviously reverse from like just over the bust. It's this dark colour with like this dark sort of grey bluey granite, and then it's got this light grey pattern on it, and then just above the bust it reverses and it's the light grey but with the dark granity motif on it, and it's just such a subtle change. I really, really like it. I like that it's got different bands on it. It's sort of really interesting. I've not seen many jumpers like that. A lot of her patterns are very involved. Like, she's gone into a lot of detail and tried out lots of different things. And I think she's, not to be disparaging about any of the other designers that I've mentioned, because obviously I love them all, but there's something very particular and very special about Marie Wallin's knitwear. I don't know if it's just like she's just at the top of her game, she's been doing it a long time and is obviously very passionate, but just her designs are just mad. They're so nice. They're really, really something special. This one is knit bottom up, and slight diss against her is seamed, which could you, I'm interested in how easy it is to actually change something into in the round jumper when it comes to colour work, especially if the pattern changes. I'd have to look at the actual pattern. Some people sort of have been critical of Marie Wallin because I think she's got some sort of knitting club and she releases a pattern and all those people buy her yarn and then they all knit it together. And I think it's sort of been said to be sort of elitist and a bit cliquey. I'm not sure, I don't really agree with it, with that sort of take. I think it's not very generous, because I think it's like you're not entitled to her patterns just because you want them. Having said that, this pattern is on Ravelry. You can buy it as a pattern itself, and there are plenty of her patterns that you can just buy singularly or buy the books of. It's not all like part of her club. And I'm sure eventually even the stuff in her club will be released. But anyway, I feel very defensive of her. I feel like I need to defend her. But I obviously don't, because she's her own woman. I'm sure she takes the criticism very well. The yarn she suggested for this pattern, I believe she might have been working with Rowan at this point, because she obviously left Rowan, the yarn company, the knitting company. And it's the Valley Tweed variety of yarn. Super nice. Everything about it calls to me. I get a calling from it. And, you know, I'm probably going to live in Scotland now for a couple of years. I think it's going to be where I'm stationed. Not just because it's very livable there. People are very nice. I really like the sense of wilderness and wildness that Scotland still has. And you're by the sea. So I think Scotland is going to be where I am. And this jumper, to me, says Scotland seaside. So, so I would very much like to knit this jumper. And it's very different from the other ones as well. Now, you might be thinking, that's 10, that's the video over. But no. So I'm also going to do 5 honourable mentions / bonus jumpers, because I actually couldn't refine it down. I saw 5 more patterns in my Ravelry. Some of them are new, and I just thought these are equal contenders for me. I could say it's 15, but like those first 10 are the ones that are immediately on my mind to knit, and perhaps for you to knit if you're of similar taste to me. So maybe also this makes up for the fact that I've included a pattern where you would have to go out and buy the book. This next pattern is a free pattern, which I didn't know until I clicked on the link, and then it was free, which is very cool. It's the Ildslugga and by Hannah Ribbon. Now I'm pretty sure I've talked about Hannah Ribbon once, pardon me, on my channel. I just can't remember what the pattern was. But her name has come up before. It's a top down, it's in the round. It's quite a simple jumper, and it's these lovely like teardrop shapes. Instantly could be worn whenever. Somehow it seems to me to be quite a light jumper. So maybe even if you live in a particularly cold place, you might wear this under another jumper. But equally, this would be very nice on top of a dress, is where my imagination went. And I like, somebody did it in a heathery green, like did the teardrops in a green, which was very nice. I really like that idea. It's in fingering or 4-ply with lace. They've suggested Filcolana, which is like a light fingering. So yeah, actually, sorry, this pattern might be in a light fingering. I don't particularly know what the difference is between fingering and light fingering. Obviously it's thinner, but it seems strange to me for there to be that small a difference between the two. So that's just my strange thought. And they've done the Alva and the Saga or Tilla, which are both lace weights. The Saga is 300 meters per 50 grams. Which is crazy. Like, that's so much meterage for a lace weight. I've never heard of that mohair in particular. So I might have to look it up, because if its cost per 100 meters is good, then that could very much be a contender for me. This seems like a very light jumper, very easy to add in, and also a nice shape. I like that sort of, I think they've done like a roll neck at the, not a roll neck, but it slightly rolls at the neck, which sort of makes it a slightly more sort of casual and, I don't know, almost more like a top than it does a jumper. But I can imagine wearing this in like the spring as well. I think it would be very nice. Number 11. Now this lady I have just found on YouTube. I'll link her down below because she's a great YouTuber. She's Scottish. That's quite exciting. And I think she might even live in Edinburgh. So when I'm in Edinburgh, maybe I'll search for her. There's actually a knitting group very near me. And I think someone once told me there's someone who goes to that knitting club is quite a well-known designer. So maybe it's her, I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, she's called Rebecca Clow. It's the Rue sweater. I think what I really liked about this jumper is, and about a lot of her patterns, that you can really appreciate how much work she puts into them, because she gives you so many different variations all in the same pattern. So if you want to make like a V-neck version, a cardigan version, a vest version, a sweater version, she's included that all in the pattern, I believe. Which, what a legend. That's such a sort of adaptable thing to give your buyers, instead of having like a different pattern for each one. Like, she could do that, but it's very generous. It's a top-down construction. It's contiguous shoulder. I don't really know what that means, but I've heard a lot of people say that before and say they really like it. So I'll trust people that it's really nice. It's 5 to 8 centimetres of positive ease is what's recommended. I'm not entirely sure if it's in the round or not. I couldn't find in its description whether it was, but I imagine that it is. And most people do it in sort of 2 colours. It's in a DK weight, which you can appreciate it might knit up a bit faster. And it's not so delicate as with a 4-ply, but also not as big as like a chunky pattern might be. So that's quite nice. And the one that I saw on Ravelry that caught my imagination was someone's done brown, yeah, could you guess, has done brown and then like brown and white and then blue in the sort of dot circle place, and then a cream, which presumably is the same cream that's on the rest of the jumper. That very much reminded me of a lot of jumpers that I've seen on Pinterest that I really liked, and I really liked the colour combinations. I can obviously imagine wearing it very much. I would really like to try one of her patterns now, because they seem very good, and I appreciate that she gives you so many options with them. There's also another, I can't remember if I've done it. Ah, yes. So before I get on to the next one, which is also by Rebecca Clow, the yarn that she suggested for this one is the Fibre Company Law, and it's 250 meters per 100 gram, which is pretty good. And her next pattern, number 13, is the Alfric, and I believe it was released in November, which for me is right now, it's November. I don't know if this video will come out in November or maybe December. It's top down and raglan, and it's a DK and lace, but she gives you a lot of options on different weights that you could also use. This one seems very traditional to me, and it's sort of a regular pattern that could probably be switched out if you so wanted. I saw her, I think she did one of them in this like very deep wine colour, and that really captured my imagination. I really liked it. I quite like a raglan. It's a surprise development, because I thought I always just sort of like the drop shoulder. For me, that always I always thought that was more flattering on me, but actually the raglan seems very nice. So I would quite like to try some more raglan sweaters. It's a very classic shape. It's 8 to 15 centimetres of positive ease. And I think I said it's DK and lace weight. Yeah, although she gives other options. And in terms of yarn, I don't think she gave any suggested yarn. I think it's very much up to what gauge you meet. But this is like 2 to 3 colours is what a lot of people have used. This next one, number 14, is another Marie Wallin, and it's the Primrose jumper. So in comparison to the mostly 2 to 3 colours that I've suggested in many of these patterns, this one is 14 colours. It's a biggie. I think this would be an incredibly advanced one for me. It would be quite hard, or very hard. But there's a challenge in it that I really like. And I really like, even though it's a lot of different colours, and it could be seen as being quite busy, I just think there's something about it which I really, really love. And I saw someone wearing it in real life, and I was drawn to it. I think it looked absolutely superb. And it's sort of one of those jumpers where like you never see anything like it anywhere. So it's very special in that regard. It's also knit in the round. It's bottom up, but it's like a circular yoke one. She does her brand or her variety of wool, and it's the British Breeds, which is only 85 meters per 25 grams. Yeah, so that's pretty average, I think. And it's a fingering / 4-ply pattern. I think it would be very challenging for me, but part of me thinks I'm very much up for having a really hard project, but perhaps just not right this minute. This is sort of one of those patterns where I'm probably always going to gear myself towards, and you know, as I collect more yarn, I will try and make myself able to knit this one. And I would just like the challenge. I think it would be really fun, and it's a spectacular jumper, I think. And finally, last bonus jumper is the Plum Jumper by Junko Otomoto. This one I love so much, and I really appreciate it about a lot of her patterns, is that she really mixes texture with sort of colour work. There's something wildly feminine and delicate about this jumper. Like the little olive motif I just think is lovely. And I think although the jumper might be quite challenging to knit because it's in like a 5-ply, a lower weighted yarn, I think it's got a lot of texture to it, which I find easier to do sort of cables and to do a textured knit. But also when it comes to the colour work, that might be a slightly more achievable thing for some people if they're interested in trying colour work, but they don't want a whole, you know, primrose jumper by Marie Wallin. So I just think I really also like this silhouette that she does. It can be worn two ways. It can be worn back to front or front to back or whatever. The back of it has a straight neck, and then the front of it has a V-neck, but like a very slight V-neck. Really, I just love it. I love designs where they sort of show the neck or the collarbone or like the front bit of your décolletage. I just think it's so lovely. And yeah, I really like the subtle design that's going on in it. I think I could definitely wear it. It's, I think like the Twigs jumper, it's in one size. So the bust on it is 144 centimetres. So very oversized for me. But also I think that's part of the design is, you know, it's very accessible for lots of people because 144 is, you know, it gives you a big range. But also it's just lovely. And I like that, you know, at the sleeves it's not ribbed, it's the pattern going all the way up. So it's sort of very, it's little details like that I just think are really lovely. I like it in the colours she's done. I like that sort of heathery brown, the grey, and the other brown. But someone also did it in like a plummy colour. And that equally looked very nice. And I can imagine this going very nicely on top of like a slip dress or like a midi skirt. This one captures my imagination. It's really, really lovely. Moeke Yarns is what she's suggested, and it's the Elena single. So it's a sport 5-ply, and it's 330 meters per 100 grams. So that's, to me, that seems pretty good, really. You know, it's really hard to decide these sorts of things, especially if you think they're going to take a long time, and if you're knitting them just before like the Christmas period or in winter. you know, you feel this drive to actually finish it so that you can wear it for the winter. A lot of these I think would be really fun knits. Some of them a lot more challenging than others, but equally colourwork jumpers I find slightly more challenging anyway. I think having to think about like the dominant colour that you want it to be, so what strand of yarn is on top of the other one, also just like what colours you want, you know, that's the whole, I don't know, have a whole degree in that. and also like the time sensitive aspect of it. Yeah, I really want to knit so many of these jumpers, but I realised that I would be slower at knitting them than I would like a stocking knit jumper or even a cabled jumper. It's very hard to decide these things. If you have any suggestions to help me decide, please leave a comment. I would like to know where everyone stands on the Christmas jumper conundrum, because I realise it is slightly contentious. I think people regard it as not being very festive to have a Christmas jumper or to sort of embrace that sort of festivity. But I also probably think there's a lot of people like me that I've got to be careful with how much stuff I've got. And so I feel like it's good to be sensible about how many jumpers I knit. Which is ironic because I've just suggested 15 jumpers that I would like to knit, and then I will probably end up knitting. So that's 15 jumpers. So like, where am I saving the space? But you gotta save the space on the Christmas jumper. Me and Robin were actually going through, he was asking me how many jumpers I do have that I've knit. And he's very good. He remembers all this sort of stuff. He takes an interest in my hobbies. I very much appreciate it. But we went through how many jumpers I have, and I think it's like 12 jumpers, including those vests. But it doesn't include like scarves or hats. And it doesn't include, you know, what I want to knit and what I have on the needles now. What do you do with all your stuff? I mean, honestly, do you just have a whole room like stuffed with jumpers? But I really want a whole room stuffed with jumpers. I mean, isn't that the dream? Or like knitted blankets. Oh. Okay, before I get too carried away, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to Mexico very soon. So I'm going to have a very irregular type of Christmas. It's going to be warm. And I think we're not even going to cook Christmas food, as in like British, you know, Sunday dinner. And they're not going to have Wigilia, which is like the Polish Christmas Eve, which is pierogi and borscht and all sorts, which is equally delicious. We're not going to have any of that. I think we're going to have a completely Mexican Christmas, which is quite exciting. I feel a bit sad about it because part of me, you know, I just got back from India, but also we're going to spend lots of time with Lucy. We're spending about a month there, or 5 weeks, me and Robin. And then his mum and sister are going to come and visit as well. So it's going to be very different. But apart from the nostalgic not having Christmas dinner and Wigilia, is not being able to wear my bloody jumpers again. I'm going to bring a knitting project because I'm just like chomping at the bit to knit. It's all I want to do. So I will be knitting abroad, and I imagine it will get cold on some nights. So I will have an occasion to wear a knit at some point. But I have been enjoying wearing my knitted jumpers and my knitted stuff a lot. I mean, that's a nice thing though, isn't it, as well? To really enjoy your jumpers. So I hope you have a lovely Christmas or holiday. I hope, if you don't like the cold weather, then I hope it's not cold. But otherwise, I really hope you have a nice cold winter where you can wear all your knitted items at once. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.